Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. I'm currently working on this kind of setup. It's very similar to what I did in the past using animation nodes. It's kind of like a dissolve kind of effects. So I managed to kind of broke this cube into pieces using blender particles nodes, and then I can separate all of them and then kind of dissolve each pieces at the same time. But I also want to have more control over it, so I'm trying to use Blender Dynamic Paint brush and canvas setup to pass on the weightings so that the pieces can disappear like one by one. So it's more procedural that way, not just everything disappear at the same time. So I just kind of want more randomize that part. So I'll build this from scratch. Basically, start with how to we can separate the mesh into pieces first. So this is gonna be Sverchok dissolve. We can use a cube, I guess. I'm gonna go to edit mode and subdivide this a couple of times, and back to object mode. So if I display the wire, it should look like this. And what I'll do is I'll use this explode modifier. This is actually kind of like Blender way to break a mesh into pieces. That I think this is quite unique. It's not a Voronoi kind of thing, but it's still quite something. Basically, we need particles before the explode modifier can work. So I need to emit some particles from this guy, and then let's emit like 10. I emit all the particles all at frame 1. I will turn off the gravity and make sure the particles is on the top. So now you can see the object is broken into pieces. 1, 2, 3. So it's actually, I believe it's 10 pieces at the moment. It's really dependent on this particles being emitted. If I say like 2, it's gonna break into 2 pieces like that. 3 pieces, and they are all floating in all directions, but we don't need to worry about the particle simulations. We only want it to break, so we don't even need to use physics. So now what happened is, if I assign like a smooth modifier, we can see where the pieces being broken. So I can increase the factor. We can have more pieces as we increase the particle. So that's I found this to be quite nice actually. If you add a like solidify, you get like a thickness as well. I call it this like a Blender secret way to break objects. If I use matcap, it's even more obvious. And ambient occlusion, maybe turn off the wire. It is quite nice, and it's the effect is quite live as well. So 550 pieces, and we have 50 pieces, and we can of course hide that controlling the smoothing, and it can goes back to, it looks like it's not broken. But if I turn off solidify, for now I'm just gonna apply the exploding, and then turn off the particles. We actually now have these objects being broken into pieces. save into 2. If you don't believe me, I will go smooth it, and you see we still have that kind of pattern. So we can use that pieces inside Sverchok. Go to compositing, Sverchok, and then here turn on matcap maybe. Yep. Objects in, get selection. It's our cube, and use a viewer draw. I want to test the broken parts in Sverchok. So I can use separate loose part. Gonna separate all the broken parts, and apparently there are 49 pieces, and I can use viewer. I can use matrix in and things like line just to display the pieces. I'm gonna let it down. So currently it's looking like that, all the pieces. I will hide this original cube. So that's all the pieces. If I use something like plane, it's gonna be more obvious. 7 by 7. Yep, like that. Now the next step we want to do is to think what's we gonna do with those pieces. Sometimes we need to probably use some things like a bounding box so we can get the center of each pieces. I'm still currently asking the Sverchok developer and about a few things that I don't quite understand. It's a thing with Matrix Interpolation. Currently, I know that we can simply do this. So if we have like a 2 matrix in, and I make the second one scale to 0, I can kind of animate each pieces. Let's see. Although this is where I get a little bit confused, because I cannot just plug this into that guy. I might need to use the bounding box. Maybe the vertices goes into the locations, but I'm not getting the center of this. So maybe I'm using the mean, but the mean also doesn't work. With the center matrix out, this guy also doesn't quite work. So I'm a little bit confused here. Maybe matrix out, but join the location, plug in here. This one seems to work. Although no, I think it's not right. If I plug in a vector in just 0, 0, 0, I'm not getting that result either. This but if I plug in like a random vector into this guy and make it like 49, plug that in. So this seems to work. This is, I found this really weird. So sorry, maybe I zero out. in here, make it this 49, and then plug this into the locations. So this is actually working fine. So we can animate this, and that's quite alright. Although still not what I wanted, but yeah. So basically, I'm expecting this matrix interpolations to be able to take locations, but I'm using random vector mk2. Maybe if we use vector in, and this is like using list repeat. Maybe if I'm doing it like that, it will work. So this one 49, for 2 or 1. This doesn't work either. I don't know why. What's the difference between this guy and this guy? Stethoscope. So that's a 2 list bracket. This one. Unwrap. Okay, that's a thing that should work actually. Level 1 and unwrap 000. Okay, then we have the default positions. Hopefully that default position is for each and every pieces. Kind of like if we have the pieces like that, and I want the center bit for this guy. So either using a random vector with scale 0 or something like this. Vector 000 and list repeater 49 times, because we have 49 pieces. Cannot use bounding box somehow. Okay, that should be good. Now, but the next problem is how to make these pieces to go disappear one by one instead of everything happening at the same time. So for that, I was thinking to use the dynamic paint for that. The plan is for this guy being separated, I want to get the mean, the center, so I'm gonna use the bounding box, get the center of this, and I'm gonna use a viewer draw, plug this guy in, and then apply matrix to mesh. Or actually, instead of doing it like this, just use a bmesh viewer, plug this in, and center to that guy. So we have 49, and we have, you see, we have 49 dots, but I want to merge that as well. So there's 49 different pieces, each one representing the pieces. If I'm not wrong, let's hide this guy and have a look. Looks like it might not be. Okay, we need to use the mean, not the vertices. Vertices is gonna give the bounding box for each pieces. So that's what I forgot. We need the mean. So now we have 49. If I check with viewer index, plug in there. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure there are 49 pieces there, even though the number is not displaying it correctly. Oh, actually, this guy 000. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's gonna be for our dynamic paint. I did this in older live noding video. So basically, these dots, these points, 49 of them is gonna be the canvas, dynamic pane canvas, and we're gonna paint this guy as weight, and I will have another object, and this is gonna be the dynamic pane brush, and we're gonna use, instead of mesh volume, we want mesh volume and proximity, so we have like a nice weighting once this guy is close to that guy. So I will turn off matte cap, turn this guy into wire. Now when they are close together, it should be giving the weighting. In order to see that, I'm gonna use displacement. Before I do that, I will turn on the dynamic pane weighting, turn it on, and use the displacement here and apply the vertex weighting into that guy. So now we have the setup where the brush, whenever the brush is near this guy, the point will actually change. If you can see that, I will turn on the paper color. It's definitely a little bit more advanced kind of tutorial. See how as the brush is getting closer to the canvas, it will actually paint over it. The way to test it, currently we are on a frame 1 and it's the animation is not working, but if the animation is running, dynamic pane will cache this vertex weight over time. I can show you that real quick. If we use the location of y, let's see, if I say okay, u should be just equal frame times 0.2, maybe minus 5, actually plus 5 minus frame. So now if you play back, see the brush moving, and then as the brush passing through our canvas, the weighting stays with it. So that's I want to bring that into Sverchok. It's gonna be pretty easy. Just select all the points there and then use objects in, get the selections. We're gonna need 2 of them. With the other one we have post modifier on, with the other one we have it off, and we measure the distance between the two. Matrix, so vertices and matrix, and let's check with stethoscope. We should have our value coming in. See it's growing up until it's kind of 1. It should be like growing up to 1, but this is the effects of it's passing the value, but it's not always reaching 1. Something to be aware of. Anyhow, with the distance there, I kind of wish that all I need to do is just to plug this into the vector, but apparently not. It doesn't quite work. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out why is this not working. If I plug this in, you can see the number is changing. We have 2040, 2401. It's what's going on? That's the thing that's currently not working. So I might need to just use a list join or something. I don't know yet. So that's the big question. Currently, at least we can kind of dissolve those all at the same time. That's okay. That seems to work fine. If you want to change the objects, you can do that. let's say you have like the monkey, or let's use the torus. So this is if you want to use another objects, I'll do it real quick. So the torus, and then let's create the particles, scatter some particles, maybe 40 of them. Scatter some particles, and then turn off physics, and use the explode modifier, and then cut edges if you want a more interesting kind of pieces. You see, with a cut edges, we have like something that looks almost like a Voronoi, like that. Maybe this is nice. You can have more pieces, maybe 70 pieces. I think this is quite nice. This is not Voronoi, but it's Blender thing. It's nice pieces. Imagine if all these pieces kind of flying one by one like a cloth. This is gonna be like a really cool effect. Trying to do that with this Sverchok setup. Maybe we don't need to use Sverchok, but in fact maybe we just need to use a dynamic paint and a soft body or cloth, but we will see. So we have these pieces. We don't need to smooth it. We know that's working, so hit apply, delete the particles. We know that these objects now broken into pieces. I just need to load it into this Sverchok setup, and hopefully everything works. Sverchok, get selection, and see, you see down there the pieces being broken. Currently the number is not updating properly. I should make it equal the number of these. Oh, 157 pieces. Okay, 157 and 157 here. So now we just need to use the Matrix Interpolation. I think this should be simpler. It shouldn't be too complex. I just want to kind of make the pieces fly one by one, or to have more control over the pieces. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it that I want to show in this live noding. It's a pretty short one, and I have one question remained, is how do we separate this guy one by one? Yeah, that's probably gonna be for the next live noding video. I guess if you have any question or feedback, maybe you have the answer, you can leave it in the comments down below. Thanks again for tuning in to live BlenderSushi live noding. I'll